Hi guys, it's Friday afternoon and to be honest, I don't have a lot of energy left. It's been a pretty brutal week, but I've got a tiny bit of prep work to take care of here aboard Athena, so let's head up and get started. It's nothing too elaborate. It's basically just a question of me getting ready for tomorrow. Like I mentioned in the last video, my parents are going to swing by this weekend to lend a hand with some sanding. I've already taken care of the first item on my little to-do list. This is the tank for my kerosene heater. With the heater on, the boat is going to be nice and toasty this weekend. A while back I removed a sizable chunk of the cabin sole to investigate some high moisture readings. I'll get back to that in just a few seconds. Tomorrow we'll primarily be focusing on sanding the starboard side of the saloon. As you can see here, there are still some areas that needs to be sanded. And for that I'd like to have at least the subfloor part of the cabin sole back in place, just to give us a level surface to sit and stand on. For me to gain access to the area underneath the cabin sole here, I had to get a little aggressive with a saw and cut away the piece of the cabin sole that goes here. Having done that, if I just put it back, it's going to be awfully spongy because of course there's no support here or over here. Luckily the fix is super easy. It's just a matter of cutting some strips of plywood and then gluing and screwing those in place. I'll give the underside of this a light sanding so that I know that this will get a good bond when I glue and screw it in place. I've applied thickened epoxy to the strips of plywood, and as for protecting these from the wet environment down there, I'm not terribly concerned because these are going to get painted with the same two-part epoxy primer that I'm going to use on the inside of the hull, and that should protect them. Now, let's get to screwing these in place. Tomorrow morning it should just be a matter of putting back this piece of the cabin sole and we should have a nice flat surface to work on. The boat is basically ready for tomorrow. I've managed to tidy up the boat a bit so that we have a clean workspace, and I've turned on the heater and prepared to put back that piece of the cabin sole. I'd hoped to accomplish more tonight, but you know what? I'm simply just too tired, so I'm gonna call it quits, head back to Obelix and spend a bit of quality time with Yrkul. But I'll see you guys here back aboard Athena bright and early tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. I feel a lot better after a good night's sleep. Anywho, today is Saturday and my parents should be just around the corner. Now we're all set for a fun day of sanding. It's 7 hours later now. That's 7 hours worth of sanding and scraping, but I think we did a fairly good job. Such a good job, in fact, that I should be able to start varnishing the teak trim on the starboard side of the saloon tomorrow. As you might be able to tell, the boat is in desperate need of a bit of tidying up and some cleaning. There's a lot of dust in here, and I think that's the very last thing I'm going to do today before heading back to Obelix. But before I do that, there's something I want to show you. That's something that arrived today, and one of my fellow liveaboards was nice enough to sign for the package and then drive over here and drop it off. As I've mentioned before, I'm going to rewire the 12-volt system here aboard Athena this winter, and this is related to that, and this is something I'm super excited about. Ta-da! I only just found out about this last week, but apparently Dymo offers a labeling machine that can write on heat shrink, which is going to be awesome for labeling wiring. That might seem like a super odd thing to be excited about, but the thing is, being able to label those wires individually is going to make it a lot easier for me to make changes to the 12-volt system in the future, and being able to label them is also going to make the whole installation look just a little bit more spiffy. But let's take this bad boy for a quick spin just to make sure that it works. I don't have 6 AA batteries lying around, so I'll have to wait until tomorrow to play with my new toy. Dang it! But yeah, I better get busy cleaning the boat. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by the amount of dust we've been able to generate today. But I'll just go ahead and tidy up the boat a bit, and I'll be right back. That is about it for today, guys. I'm just about to head back to Yakult, but I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. Today is Sunday, and on the way here, I swung by the hardware store and picked up some AA batteries. And that, of course, means that I get to play with my brand new toy. I don't think I mentioned this yesterday, but this is the Rhino 4200, and I believe this is the smallest of the models where you're able to print on heat shrink tube. I paid roughly the equivalent of $80 for this thing, and I think that's very affordable. In the box, they included this little quick start guide that shows you how to set up this so that you can print on heat shrink tube. I've never used one of these before, so let's see how this goes. Okay, let's see if this will print. Oh, it's a wrong orientation. Rotate? Here we go. This is the first label I printed. Look at the orientation of this. This is not what I wanted. What I wanted was this. And now that I've got this, let's go ahead and see if we can get that onto a piece of wire. This is a 1.5 square millimeter wire, and this is the smallest gauge of wire I'll be using here aboard the boat. So let's see if we can get the label onto this. This is a little bit fiddly. There we go. Now for the fun part, which is of course shrinking the label. That looks amazing. I mean, think about how awesome it's gonna look with each of the wires individually labeled. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. The reason I did this test using this gauge of wire, which I believe is the equivalent of 16 gauge, is because these are the smallest labels you can get for that machine. So I wanted to make sure that these would fit on this gauge of wire. Anywho, we'll get back to that once I start rewiring the boat. For now, let's get back to the humdrum of fixing up an older boat. The reason I say humdrum is because the last couple of items on my to-do list for this weekend is to mask off the teak trim here in the galley so that I can apply the next coat of paint, and then to apply the first coat of varnish to the starboard side of the saloon. Not really all that exciting, but stuff that needs to be done. Before I get to all of that slightly boring but still necessary stuff, there's something else I want to show you. A while back I mentioned some less than ideal decisions made by the builder of the Warrior 38s, or at least this Warrior 38. One of those was to hide the chain plates, and we've got a good example of that right over here. Behind that thin piece of plywood is a chain plate, so why don't we go ahead and remove that piece of plywood and take a look at what's in there. The first thing I'm going to do is to remove this foam-backed fake leather stuff. I want to have wooden slats on the inside of the hull, but I guarantee you it's going to be pretty nasty in behind there. That is nice and moldy. There are different kinds of people in the world. Some would look at this mold and go, oh, my boat has got mold, it's horrible. But it's much better to look at this and go, hey, I'm glad I found this mold, now I can get rid of it. The inside of the hull sure looks a lot better now. I want to have my chain plates be visible, so I'm not going to put this piece back, which means we can get a little destructive. Yep, that was pretty much what I was expecting to find, and also why I'd really like for my chain plates to be visible. I don't feel like I have to hide the chain plates. I mean, they're an integral part of the boat, and from a cosmetic standpoint, I think they're kind of beautiful. Before I get to the slightly boring but necessary masking off, varnishing and painting part of this video, I've got one more quick update for you. I've gotten a couple of quotes for the new Countertop for the Galley. I've got one quote for $350 and another quote for a whopping $1,400 US. Both of them compact laminate. The difference being that the $1,400 one has a little bit nicer finish, and I don't have to do any of the trimming or cutting holes myself. The manufacturer do that. But I'm very much leaning towards not spending $1,400 US on what is a good candidate for the world's smallest countertop. Long story short, I've ordered some samples that I should hopefully be able to show you next weekend that I can also try cutting in to see if I can do the trimming of the compact laminate myself. Anywho, I don't think I can put off masking off this teak any longer. Slight change of plans, guys. Instead of me showing you the third coat of paint being applied in the Galley, which would be kind of difficult for you to see because it's just white paint going on a white surface, I've decided to start editing this video instead. If I start editing right now, I should be able to publish this video tonight around 8 PM Danish time like I normally do. And then while this video is rendering, I can go ahead and take care of the painting and the varnishing. And then hopefully next weekend I'll be able to show you the finished result. So yeah, I better get busy editing. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. See you! Yukul and I hope you've enjoyed this video. For more videos like it, click subscribe. Please consider leaving a comment and a thumbs up. It really helps me a lot and I appreciate your support very much. If you're new to the channel, please check out the introduction playlist. If you want to watch every single video I've ever published, check out the playlist named All Videos. It contains every single video listed in chronological order. Ja, det var godt. Det var dygtigt. Det var dygtigt. Det var godt, Bassen.